Welcome to Yaya's Kitchen. Today we will be preparing some delicious sweet Mexican bread, mostly known as conchas. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and click on the little bell to get notified every time I upload a new video. Okay, now we're going to get started with this recipe. The first thing that we're going to need is a dry ingredient measuring cup and a wet ingredient measuring cup. Here we're going to start with 10 cups of all-purpose flour, and we're going to be measuring this with the dry ingredient measuring cup. Here I'm just showing you guys how I measure each cup of flour. Next we're just going to measure 1.5 cups of sugar and we're going to set it aside. Next we're going to crack each of these eggs just to make sure that there's no chickens cooking up in there, you know what I mean? Now it's time to get an arm workout and beat these eggs. Next we are setting 4 tablespoons of dry instant yeast aside. 2 1/4 cups of milk. I'm using whole milk, and make sure that the milk is cold. Everything else is room temperature except for the milk. The milk has to be cold. The Crisco is next. This is vegetable shortening, and we are going to need 3/4 cup. And now it's time to clean our workspace. Now that everything is nice and clean, we are going to get started. We begin by dumping all the flour on the counter and creating a volcano as I show here. We will start incorporating all of the ingredients in the center and mix until it's all well combined. We start by adding the eggs, then the yeast, now the sugar. Now we're going to add 3/4 cup of vegetable shortening. The 2 sticks of butter are next at room temperature. Now we are going to slowly incorporate the milk so that we don't make a mess, of course, and we're gonna keep kneading this until it creates like the little dough. It's supposed to be kind of sticky, so it's not like regular bread. It's supposed to be a little sticky, so it sticks to your fingers, but it's not super sticky. I don't know if I'm explaining myself right, but it's just I'll show an example of how it's supposed to look like. So here, as you can see, I'm adding a little bit of extra milk just because it wasn't combining all together. So if yours does that, that's what I mean. Like, you can add a little bit more milk or vegetable shortening just to get it to the consistency that we want it. So once you combine everything together, you're going to need this for about 15 to 20 minutes. That's how long I needed for, about 15-20 minutes. And this definitely is a workout, so if you have a stand mixer, you can definitely go ahead and use it. Mine was too small for all of this, so that's why I had to do everything by hand. And this is how the dough is looking after a long arm workout. Just kneading this for 15-20 minutes. It should look like this. It should have like a smooth look to it, and you should be done. But make sure we check the consistency. I will show up next the consistency that I'm looking for. Once the dough is done, we're gonna turn in the ends and make it into a little ball. I didn't really show the consistency here, but if you've ever made tortillas before, if you press on the dough, it kind of sticks to your hands, but it's not sticky. It's just kind of like a little stick on and then it's done. So now that the dough is rolled up, we're going to put it inside a bowl. We're going to add some Crisco on top of it so it doesn't get crispy or hard on the outside. And on top of that, we're also going to add a layer of either saran wrap or any plastic that you have around. And we're going to let it sit in the refrigerator overnight. We are going to take this out in the morning, and if your room temperature is not warm, you could put some water to boil, because we need to let the dough rise. So the hotter, not the hotter, but like the warmer it is in your room or in the room, the more it's gonna fluff up. After taking out the dough, we get started on the paste so we don't have to worry about it later. Alright, so in a bowl you're going to combine 4 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 cups of sugar, and 1 3/4 cups of vegetable shortening. We are going to mix until it becomes a paste. Okay, so now that the paste is done, this is how the consistency is going to look like. It's going to kind of like stick onto your fingers a little more. The reason you want it sticky is so that it can stick onto the bread. If it's not sticky enough, you can go ahead and add more vegetable shortening. The next part is optional, so you can either leave it as a white paste, or you can add food coloring, or you can split it in half or in fourths and do different colors. If you do like the brown, you can add like cocoa powder or like the Mexican round chocolate. You can grind that up and you can add it onto the paste as well, so it can have like a chocolatey flavor. For the white, it's just white. For pink, you add like pink food coloring. You could do whatever color you want. Here, as you can see, I chose to split it in half, so I'm gonna do half white and half pink. So I'm just gonna mix the pink gel food coloring until it's all well combined. And now we reserve until our dough is done rising. I took my dough out at 6 a.m. and I started kneading it for the second time at 11 a.m. So unfortunately for me, the dough didn't fit in my stand mixer. Like I said, it was too small. So my dad was here and he offered to help. So he helped me knead the dough. He kneaded the dough for, I'm gonna say like 10-15 minutes. Woo! Look at those skills, man. I think my dad was involved in like karate or something in his past lifetime. I'm getting ready to set the baking sheets with this Crisco pan release. It's not like butter, but if you don't have this, you can also use butter, just so that the bread doesn't stick to the bottom of the baking sheet. So this is the mold that I'm using to be able to make the design on the conchitas. Here my dad is helping me roll up some bread balls. He's just using the inside of his palm to measure them, but if you want to measure them with like a scoop or scale, I mean, you're your own chef in your own kitchen, so you can use whatever gadgets you want. For the paste, we're going to roll it up into a little ball and put it in between these 2 little plastics. And we're going to press it with a tortilla press. And then we're going to flip it. And we're going to put it on the dough. And once it's on there, we can go ahead and do the design. With this little shell mold, I'm going to go ahead and make the design so that it looks like an authentic Mexican conchita. Don't worry if you don't have this mold, you can go ahead and make a design with practically anything. You can use a knife, chopsticks, a fork, spoon, anything you have in hand you can use. Here I'm going to show you how to make a design with a knife. If you don't have a tortilla press for the paste, you can also use like a rolling pin, or you can also do it by hand. And this is the way my dad is doing it actually, so he's gonna go ahead and show you guys how he does it. And now I'm gonna show you the way I do it, and of course I do it like if I'm doing mini tortillas. Okay, and now that you're done putting the paste on the dough, we're going to let them rise for a bit. So this is the time to preheat your oven at 400 degrees. Once it beeps and it's ready, then you can go ahead and start cooking them. So each oven is different. My oven actually was too hot at 400 and it almost burned my conchita. So I actually had to lower it to 375, and These cooked in 15 minutes, so 7 minutes on one side, and then you flip them, and then you do 7 minutes on the next, or 8 minutes. Okay, so these are gonna cook anywhere from 15 and 17 minutes, and this is how you'll know that they're ready, when the bottom is a brownish color. Alright, my YouTube family, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned as much as I did. Enjoy your conchitas with some coffee or hot chocolate. A big thank you to my tia Guille and my cousin George for sharing this recipe with us, and I will see you guys on the next video. Enjoy!